Hi, my name is Steph. I'm from Get to the Roots and Get to the Roots Extras. I'm here with singer-songwriter Lisa Leitl. We're going to talk about her music, her process, and her newest release called Snowfall. So, hi, Lisa. Welcome.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm so excited to be here.
So, our
Thank
first question is what inspires you to create music?
Ooh, that's a big question. I've been kind of a creative all of my life, and so pretty much everything. I go out in the world, I hear and I see things now through a musical lens. And so I can just be out in my local grocery store, meeting people. I'm really curious. I love people. I love conversations. And then all of a sudden somebody will say something and I'll be like, oh, there's a song in there. Or, oh, that's an idea. Also from my own life, the work I'm releasing right now is really kind of a journey from little Lisa, and then heartbreak of teenage 20s, just me as I'm evolving through life and really hoping to say those things in a universal way that can touch other people and hopefully they can see their own lives through that work. But creativity, ooh, it's everywhere for me anyway. Even this, like, I'm like, "Oh, there's already ideas bubbling up." So, yeah, I when I was a really little girl, I remember saying to my mom, I was really confused why life was not like a musical, and I honestly meant that because I would watch musicals and I'd watch people, like, get up in a bus and start dancing and singing, and I'd be on the public bus going, "Huh, wow, they're not dancing and singing, this is really confusing to me, why is that not happening?" And so I think I really wanted life to be a musical. So tried my best to live into that. I hope that answers some of it.
It does. I mean, given the choice, who doesn't want their life to be a musical? Just a
Right.
few very sad select members of the population. Follow-up question, what was your favorite musical that made you feel that way when you were little Lisa?
Oh, definitely to influence my life greatly. First of all, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Once I heard that song, I thought, wow, I want to do that. I want to sing. Didn't even know if I could hold a tune, but I thought I want to sing. And then Sound of Music. Just, wow, the hills are alive, running across the hills, I thought, and I did that so many times in my backyard. Sometimes I'd set up a sheet behind me and think, "This is my own theatrical musical all by myself." I'd find myself running through the yard going, "The hills are alive, this is great."
Yeah, there's definitely a very joyous scene. So
Yeah.
you have your new release that we're talking about today, Snowfall, but so how long have you been working towards releasing this song? And also addendum to that question, how long have you been working towards releasing music just in general?
Ooh, yeah. So, seriously, I took on songwriting in 2023. And I made the decision then I really wanted to focus on songwriting. I never considered at that point that I would step in again as an artist because I had retired. I had performed professionally full time for over 20 years. And I thought, kind of wanted to be out of that gigging scene because it's a lot, consumes your weekends or holidays and doesn't leave much for social life. But when I started digging into songwriting, those that were hearing my music, because I was playing guitar and singing, they were kind of encouraging me, "Lisa, you really should step in as an artist again." And I'm like, "No, no, that's not my intention. Just want to songwrite." And then I started listening to people that were mentoring me, and I said, "Okay, I'm hearing this from more than one person. I'm gonna step in as an artist and release my music." So that was really evolving strongly in 2023. I had written songs, of course, for years but hadn't really thought about releasing my own music until 2023. And Snowfall holds a certain love for me, both the story that it tells as a young girl, but also it was the song that introduced me to my current music producer. It was the first song he listened to of mine where we really bonded. And that's kind of the day we said we kind of wanted to work together. And that's just been a huge blessing. So I realized the universe was kind of saying yes to everything that was coming up for me. And I just kind of courageously and bravely, because I was terrified, totally in fear about this, saying, "Okay, I'm doing this. I'm stepping in. I'm gonna trust." I love the person I'm working with. And so it's been a long road. Lots of bumps, lots of struggle, lots of challenges, and then so many blessings. But Yeah. So really seriously started in 2023.
Excellent. What is your producer's name and what does he do? Like, what is his goal in life in the world of music, and, like, what is he, like, known for, what I'm trying to ask you?
Yeah. Sure. So his name is Rob Wells, and he is a very well-known producer already. He's worked with a lot of wonderful artists. So I feel incredibly honored and blessed to work with him. So he teaches all over the world. He's also a prolific songwriter himself, and just beyond being extremely talented and gifted in the work that he does, he is just an amazing human being. So the gifts go far beyond for me from just working with him professionally, but we've really gained this incredible friendship and trust. And I think, at least for my experience, having a producer that you can fully trust to know who you are, to know what it is you're trying to say with your music more than just the song, right? There's all of me, my emotions coming out through this work, and him really holding it in a gentle place and really respecting that and honoring that. And painting what he feels is what I'm trying to say versus trying to put something on top of my music. I think, yeah, he's just, phew, can't say enough about him, but really talented. So you can definitely go search him. He's definitely, yeah, got a huge following.
I love how you say that he's trying to make your voice and your music and your sound show through. I think that speaks a lot to his professionalism. I wanted to ask you another follow-up question. So, you said you played for 20 years, and were you in a band or were you gigging? What was that work like, and how many different people did you work with? What was the sound like?
Yeah, so I was a full-time gigging musician only doing cover songs. So I recognized pretty early on I've got to be pretty diverse. So it was anything from country to pop to jazz. So I literally had, back then, I'm gonna give away my age, binders of music with, the keys that I sang everything in with my list of songs. So I had a country binder, a pop binder, and a jazz binder. And so I did a lot of work in the pop world because the hotels in South Florida really wanted that kind of music at that time. It was the '80s going into the '90s, and so that was really what people were wanting to hear. I did most of my work with duos, unless it was a pretty large gig, and then we would bring in other players, of course, to make the sound bigger. But to make a living, it was just easier financially to have 2 people. So, mostly duos, and worked with a lot of amazing, gifted, talented musicians, and I think the reason I worked for so long was we really got that it was community. It wasn't just us trying to get a gig for ourselves. We would always also take care of other musicians. So if we couldn't do a gig, you have your Rolodex, again, the age thing, Rolodex thing.
Oh, psh.
Go through the Rolodex and say, "Oh, that person would probably be really good for that gig." So really sharing resources then and really recommending people in. If somebody needed a horn player, I'd have my list of horn players and say, "Yeah, so and so would be great for that gig." So, yeah, building community. It was always about community, I think, for me, even with gigging. But it was a tough thing because before I retired from that, doing covers, 6, sometimes 7 nights a week. You're looking at 3 to 4 hours a night, and, yeah, weekends and holidays were your big times, so doesn't leave much space for socialization.
Yeah, and bringing all of your equipment in and then
Yeah.
worrying about venue changes, if there's gonna be a rowdy crowd that night. I've heard horror stories from some of the patrons at some of these venues and social dynamics. Yeah, I've many of my friends through Radio St. Pete and beyond have had similar experiences be on their road of music. So
Right.
I've heard a wide range of experiences, some very positive and some very negative, and it's all over the place, isn't it?
It really is, yep. I like to stick with the positives, but yep, it's there for
Absolutely.
both. Both of those live in that world for sure. You mix alcohol and human beings and, yeah, things can get a little out of hand.
Yeah, sometimes I feel the music a little too much.
It's all good. I think ultimately, yeah, the majority of people there enjoyed the music. I still feel like, wow, what a blessing that this has been my life's work. I mean, to think that when I was venturing into singing as a young girl, nowhere in my mind was I thinking, wow, I wonder if I'm going to make a living at this. I just did it because I really loved it. And so for that to turn into my work was just, yeah, that was just another lesson on top of that. So,
I think that's a beautiful message.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so coming back into the present, we're gonna talk more about your release, Snowfall, which
Okay.
we are going to hear on this week's Get to the Roots. Also, it's in the Radio St. Pete database, and it's also available on Spotify and, other music platforms. Wherever it's streaming, you can find Snowfall. And so my question about the song is, what were your biggest challenges getting this produced? I do remember you mentioning to Jerome and I that you were at one point recording in a closet.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yep. Many challenges leading up to Snowfall. So the first one was I knew nothing about running the DAW, which is our digital audio workspace. So originally I thought I would have local people here help me record my tracks. But I recognized that was becoming problematic just with scheduling. People, a lot of us now, because of the computer world, we're doing this work out of our homes. And so scheduling with families being home or families not being home, it just became this like, I got to figure this out on my own so that I can run it on my own schedule. And so my producer was helping me understand how to run my DAW. And that took me quite a while to get my head around that because I didn't really enjoy it. Truth be told, I still don't enjoy it. And then I'm like, where is it going to be quiet enough for me to record these tracks? And so the only space I really have is I have a narrow kind of closet in the master bedroom with clothes hanging on both sides. So perfect soundproofing. A little tricky to get everything inside there, but then quickly realized I'm in there with my mic, which picks up everything. And so I have to set my computer like way outside the door so you don't even hit a fan on the computer. And so I'm like running to turn, record and then getting in the door, closing the door, you know, sitting in the chair, rushing to get my headset on, hoping. So I realized pretty quickly I was playing my music track too quickly and not giving myself enough of a gap to do all of those steps that need to be done to get in the chair, sing. So it was just this whole learning process of all of what I had to contend with in the space that I had, which, it's great that we can do this. It's incredible. There are challenges that I had no idea I was up against. And so learning that I had to leave this huge kind of gap of space before I even started to play my guitar tracks so that I had that gap of time to get in my closet. Yeah, so that was one thing. And then just learning the DAW, learning about, wow, it was really interesting for me coming from doing studio work with booths that were separate, where you record a scratch track, and then the band is out in the other room and they're doing their music to your scratch track. And then when they leave, you're in the live room, you got your headset on, but you have an engineer doing all of that. So I'm coming from that world. Now I feel like I'm having to wear all of those different hats and not having a clue what I'm doing. And so there was a lot of learning about just singing. I sing dry, which is unusual, right? You usually sing with a little bit of reverb, which you're used to, but in the closet, everything's dry. And of course, there's no reverb on the track. So getting used to just hearing that dry vocal coming through and everything kind of just dropping off as soon as you sing, which is not what we typically hear when we're performing. So there was a little bit of a learning curve to just get used to that. And, volume adjustments and kind of understanding the microphone placement and using the mic for my guitar and not doing direct plug-in with my guitar. That was also a little bit of a learning curve. So yeah, not hearing my fingernails as I'm, strumming down on the guitar, being really aware of how much is getting picked up by the mic. So I had, you know, God bless Rob. He was very patient as I was learning all these skills because it took me a while to get my head around it all. And then I finally said, I think I've got this. And then that was met with fear because I'm like, oh no, I've got it. And now the music is going to go out. Yeah. So it was a challenge, but I'm kind of used to it now. I've got my setup.
That's great. So you had the adventure to figure out how to make it easier for yourself in the long run.
Yeah. Scheduling really. I mean, I was so grateful that people were willing to step in and help. But then I realized, they'd say like, "Oh, I've got an hour on Tuesday morning when the kids are at school where it might be quiet, but inevitably a plane would fly overhead or something would happen where that would stop the recording." And
Aw.
I thought, "This is going to be tough." So I thought, okay, I'm gonna step in and learn these new skills, even though I was resistant, and I'm really grateful that I did now. But in the beginning, I was thinking, "I don't know if I wanna do this. I don't know if I can do this." But so here I am. Yeah. I work
Yay!
oh, and if I can do it, you can do it.
Absolutely, and then I'm gonna test your knowledge because I forget right now. What does DAW stand for? It's
Workspace.
digital audio workspace.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
technology.
I didn't know what it was in the beginning. I'm like, "What? This DAW thing." We've gotten so used to acronyms, unfortunately, and then sometimes when you go to look that up, it doesn't pop up as the first acronym
Yeah.
either. You're like, "Well, that can't be correct." Yeah,
Absolutely.
all good.
So, do you have a story of a success during the recording or producing process that always makes you laugh or just makes you feel really good about like a moment or a story of like success, like to kind of contrast to all of the challenges that you faced in recording and producing?
Story of success. Well, getting the tracks done well enough where my producer gave me the green light. That was my first success. I think I'll call it almost more of a reward than a success, I think, is when I got to hear this thing that didn't exist. Like nothing existed. There wasn't the words weren't there, the notes weren't there. And then I breathed this thing into life. And then when my producer and I got together for our first production session, to listen to it now come fully alive in a way that I had never heard it. It was just always me and the playing guitar and singing to my phone. That was my big recording device. And now I'm hearing it through this professional production was I was just I yeah, I had a lot of tissues that day. I cried a lot, honestly. There were yeah, my jeans were wet from tears falling down. It was so overwhelming because it felt like it wasn't just from 2023. This was like a lifetime of musical work and commitment. And now it's coming to this whole new space of reality. And oh, yeah, it was a deeply emotional experience. And I highly recommend for anyone that's sitting on the fence right now that's listening to this, if you are creative in any field, bringing your work out in this way to the world is really profoundly, it will make you feel something you haven't felt before. It made me feel alive in new ways. That not to say it didn't come with some unique fears about, wow, people are really gonna see me now. So that was underneath that too. There was this kind of riding wave of, oh wow, now it's real. This thing's been brought out, and then wow, people are now gonna see part of me in this new way also. So it lived in both those worlds. But yeah, the fulfillment of bringing it to completion, to this finished product was really unlike what I had expected. I had all these ideas of what that would be like, and it was much deeper than I expected. Mhm.
I love that. I think that personally, authenticity and vulnerability are very important to art. And that is the art that many people connect to. And I love that you were willing to. Thank you for sharing with me, and thank you for sharing with all of us like your true feelings on that. Because even talking about your own vulnerability with something that is so hard to release, like I've been in your position with that before, not song releasing, but similar things, it's hard to admit that. So thank you for sharing that with us, and I hope that it gets easier to work through that for your next releases and your next feats in singing and songwriting.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in production on song 2 now and rewriting song 3, and yeah, it hasn't gotten easier yet. It's still really emotional. I'm thinking maybe I don't know if it is, but maybe it's a good thing that it's still that because it says it's really important to me. I don't know if it became more natural or normal. I don't know. Maybe that wouldn't be good. I have no idea. I'm just in what it is right now, and it is. Ooh, it's still emotional, and I wasn't sure if song 2 would feel as deeply, but it is pretty deep still. So We'll see maybe in a couple of years if that changes. I'll let you know. We'll do an update.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, you're coming back. I don't care what you say, you're coming back to talk to me. 'Cause this is so on topic for what I do with the radio and what I try to do with my podcast. I wanna ask an impromptu question. You have this beautiful picture behind you. Is
Yeah.
that an award? May I ask about your Lisa Leitl picture behind you?
Sure. Yeah. So my wonderful husband, David, who is an incredible supporter of mine, this was a song that I had co-written with a dear friend. And he really loved what I was doing as a songwriter. And he said, he wanted to kind of put it in a tangible form, kind of saying, this is what's possible for you with this skill that you've got. And so this was, I think it was a Christmas present. Might have been a birthday present, but I think it was Christmas. So what it is he got it printed. It's actually the lyrics to the song that I co-wrote with a dear friend, Todd Dickinson, an amazing songwriter. And so it was kind of just saying, yes, you can do this.
Oh.
So it's just a reminder every time when I'm feeling like, oh, this is crazy. Why am I doing this? This is what am I thinking? I have these little reminders of it's all good. It's all good. Right. I think what I loved so much about receiving this was giving, he gave me the gift of being seen. And I think as creatives, even as just human beings, to think that we matter, to think that people see us and see that what we do has value, that if that was the only thing I ever received, like that's just that alone is like, oh wow, somebody saw me, they saw my work and they wanted to acknowledge it in that way. So it's a reminder. And the guitar back there was actually the very first acoustic guitar I ever played on. And so I refuse to sell it, even though I don't use it. So it's just hanging up there as a reminder to kind of the roots of when I got started playing. Yeah.
I love that. I love that the person in your life that's your life partner sees you and believes in you and loves you, and that's a wonderful thing that we need more of in the world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, and that's what you're doing. So
Ah, oh, and
wow,
that
you are. You're seeing local artists and saying, "I see you. I wanna let the world see more of you." So, yeah, thank
yeah, we need that. We need to
you.
prop up our friends, and then our friends will
Yeah,
prop us up, and we'll create that community that you're talking about because
yeah,
even in, like, mainstream media, also in, like, this new media that you see online with YouTube and TikTok and Spotify, a lot of those are community-based. I mean, you can see that even from anything from acting troupes all the way to different bands and different casting companies. You see it all throughout the arts. Different communities of people coming together to support their allies or their friends, and you wanna grow that community so that you have the most authentic, loving, caring people that will give that you can give to because there's so many people that will just take and take and take, and we don't want those people in our communities. We don't need them. They offer nothing. So,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I wanna just also just give a shout out to Jerome. 'Cause Jerome, that's why we're here, right? He was one
yes.
of those community people that said, "I wanna see other artists, and I wanna invite them into the communities I'm in." He invited me in, and I immediately said, "Oh my gosh, he saw me." Like, "Yes, I wanna be there. I wanna be with Jerome." And through that, we met. Like, what a gift that he gave me. And yeah, so thank you, Jerome, if you're watching.
Yes, thank you, Jerome. So, Jerome Savoie is my songwriting partner. He does songwrite with other people, but him and I meet every week and we work on music, but we also work on other aspects of the business as well. He's actually given me an outlet for a lot of my visual art stuff because I cannot sing. I can't play music. I can't keep time, but I am learning to draw. And so he's given me that outlet. Also, I went to school for writing. So it's given me a great excuse to get back into writing in a way that's, like, really pleasant to actually work with someone and help him make his dreams a reality. He's based out of Quebec. He is a professionally trained opera singer. He's a teacher full-time, teaches music. He can play, like, 6,000 instruments. I always tease him.
Yeah.
And he also when I met him in our green room group, which has disbanded. And when he came in, there's definitely like an energy shift. Like everyone loved him and he wasn't just all about himself. He really wanted to help others. And we had that in the past. A couple other members were like that too. But he actually like, evolved in the group. Like, he was showing more progress than I think a lot of us were, and when he asked me to songwrite with him, I was like, "Absolutely! Yes! Finally, someone that wants to work with me," because I had tried before he joined, I tried to work with a bunch of different people, but he was the first person that asked me, and
Mhm.
it's amazing. I didn't think he would ask me. I didn't think I was, like, good enough to help him, but, like, also, it's amazing because after all these years later, we're still working together, and we're really good friends, which is awesome, and I love that international connection, and I love that he is such a professional in music, so big shout out to Jerome. Big shout out to Lisa Leitl, who's joining us today. And then speaking of so that group I was talking about, that was a YouTube-based community group, and the founder was Jeff Barch. He's does a lot of professional video editing, and I learned a lot from him. He has a great book out there. But speaking of YouTube, Lisa, you have a YouTube channel too where you inspire other people. Can you tell us about that, your goals, and just what you like talking about on there and what you're doing with all of that?
Sure. Yeah. So early on, when I started this songwriting journey, so many of my friends were kind of like, well, what do you do? Like, what does that look like? How do you start a song? What is it going to look like when you start recording? And they were asking me all these questions. And I thought, wow, they're really curious to see what's happening before the song gets released out into the world. We're so used to getting a finished product and consuming that, which is lovely, but they wanted to kind of know the what's really going on back there before before it hits the airwaves. So I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll just start sharing that. It took me I could discern that for a while. I was like, "Oh, no one's gonna wanna hear this. This is crazy. What am I thinking?" And then I just said, my producer again was really saying, "Lisa, you really should do it. People are gonna wanna hear this." I'm like, "Okay. What am I gonna call it?" There was that whole decision, and I thought, "It's just songwriting stories." So I thought, "Okay, Songwriting Chronicles," right? Just and so I try to share when I feel like it's a pivotal moment, like, oh, you know, first it was just learning the digital audio workspace. Then I was sharing, just navigating imperfection is what I called it because I was bumping up against imperfection all the time, even doing the YouTube channel. And I'm just like, it's okay to be imperfect. We're perfectly imperfect. So live into that and embrace it. So just every time I would kind of come up with either an emotional roadblock or tech roadblock. I said, "Oh, this I think they'd wanna know what's going on here." And then as we were getting into production, I kind of shared what it was like to go through the production phase. So each time there's kind of that pivotal moment of, "Ooh, this is something that I is either bringing me a struggle or bringing me a reward." I think, "Okay, that's something they probably wanna know about." But just trying to share that. I even shared, when I got into, like, the second song production, it brought its own challenges, which I was caught off guard with. So, yeah, just really giving true voice to the behind the scenes experience, and I hope that people find it useful to kind of see what's happening before they hear Snowfall. Like, what was the journey like up before that? And now also sharing this whole rewriting and second song production, that has its own journey. And then recognizing that, okay, Snowfall's released, but boy, oh boy, the list of to-dos now got even bigger. So it's not like you release the song and, oh, you're done. So I'm just trying to give voice to all of that. So yeah, Songwriting Chronicles.
Alright, so you can just search Songwriting Chronicles and it will pop up?
Yeah, you'd probably be better off saying my name, Lisa
Okay.
Leitl, Writing Chronicles, because it is, youtube.com/Lisa Leitl is the actual channel URL. If they wanted to find it another way, my website, it's right there on the front page. There's links to my songs, and there's also a link to the YouTube channel. So they could go to lisaleitl.com and find everything there. But they could search my name and Songwriting Chronicles, and yes, it'll all pop up there.
And I'll have all of that linked below. Lisa already sent me all of her links. So for anyone listening to the podcast version of this, which this will be in the podcast version,
Yeah.
you will find it all in the description below. Let's see here. What other questions did I have for you? Oh, okay. We're actually coming to the end. So before we come to the end of my questions, I want to ask you, I want to circle on back to the YouTube channel. What is your favorite video or topic that you've released so far? Like, what was the most that when you're like, "Yes, this video really says it all. Like, I really wanted to speak to this." What is there one or a few that stand out to you, or are they all just kinda, like, at that level?
I that is a great question.
Oh, thank you.
They all have their unique life. Let me just I gotta think about that. Probably, well, the production one, talking about song production, just because the emotional impact of that. But also, I think I called it music distribution release. Oh my.
Great
And
title.
yeah, and that's how it felt. There's so much in that video about the for me, music's really personal. And I hope that when people listen to it, they're feeling this personal connection. And as wonderful as it is that we have all these streaming platforms and these distribution companies, I'm filling out documents online and I'm being put in a shopping cart and I'm hitting, yeah, sure, you can send my song out to the world and hit send and pay here. It just was this weird, after all these years of work, I'm relegated to a shopping cart and then I'm put in this magical queue, sitting and waiting. It just felt so strange. And on top of that, just the unbelievable reality that every single day there's over 100,000, 150,000, whatever the new number is today, of songs being uploaded every day. Not a month, not a year, every day, 100,000 songs. And I was keenly aware of that when I hit, sure, you can upload my song. Because I thought, where do I fit in that huge ocean of music? That was overwhelming to think I'm just this little tiny wet spot, a little wet drop in this huge ocean of music. So all of that was living in that moment. So I think those two, at least for me, my own journey, were probably the most emotional and the most, yeah, challenging.
Excellent. Oh, I will link to that video below as well because that sounds yes, Jerome and I, we face that same type of feeling, and poor Jerome, so he lives in Quebec, he's a Francophile, so he speaks French first, but he's
Uh-huh.
wonderful at English, and he took care of all of the paperwork for our music, and I commend him for that because I know I would have been pulling my hair out, and that's not even in my second language, so I was just big kudos to you and to Jerome and to anyone out there that is willing to put their stuff out in the world and do all of the stupid little websites in between them. Like, seriously,
Well,
yeah,
it's
more songs are being released now than were the entire year of 1989. A day. More songs are released a day than were released all of 1989.
yeah, it's hard to get my head around that sometimes because it's just a number, right? And yet there's a human being attached to each of those songs. I think that's the part that it's like 100,000 songs. I think, okay, it's just a number. But then I think, oh my goodness. Well, maybe somebody's released a few songs, but it doesn't matter. They're still a human being.
Yeah.
And yet I feel, well, who are they? How do we get to know them? Who are these 100,000 people? Like, it's crazy. It just, yeah, where years ago, I think with music the way, and this is not a bad, better, worse. It just is what we have. But I think one of the things I enjoyed about years ago was it did feel more that you were invested in the human being of the music because you got the album, you got the artwork, you saw if their pictures were inside, you got to see the pictures and maybe a little story. Or if you were lucky, because we didn't have access to the internet, they had the lyrics in there, which was great as a singer to get the lyrics instead of having to try to record that song when it was on the radio. So you were invested in the person and then the art, right? So there was that full human connection where I feel like today I'm still curious, who are those 100,000 people? Who are they all? How do I get to know them all? It's just, and it's so much to try to listen to. It's just a lot. Yeah. And I recognize that I'm just one of those. So yeah,
It's
it's,
okay. We're all just one of those in the end, you know? And oh my god, thank you for mentioning liner notes because yes, when my first CD ever was Cyndi Lauper's her big one, I forget what's but it's the one that had Girls Just Wanna Have Fun. And I remember opening up the jewel case, pulling it out, looking at it, I'm like, "Yes, the lyrics!" And then I'm seeing, "Oh, who is the artist formerly known as Prince that wrote this song?" Had
I
no
love.
idea.
Had to sing that song many times. That's
Also shout outs to Prince and Cyndi Lauper in this broadcast.
um, yeah, he influenced my life a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's amazing.
Yeah, fantastic artist.
Okay. So, the
Hmm.
how I end all of my interviews is the same way, and it's okay if you need to pause before answering this question, but I want everyone to answer this question when I interview them. So,
Hmm.
imagine this. All of those people, of those 100,000 people and all of the other people in the universe that are around right now, if you could speak to every single one of them and they had to listen to you and they had to understand you, what is your message to the world? What do you want them to know? It can be a short message, it can be a long message. What do they need to hear from you specifically?
Hmm. That you matter. That you matter. And if I'm able to, I see you, even if I don't physically see you, right? Um, we are all part of this huge tapestry. And without you, we're missing a color or we're missing a stitch. So, what you bring to the world, whether that's through amazing work you do or a creative adventure that you do, it really does matter. And so, if you're at all thinking, you know, it's overwhelming or how am I going to do this? I just want you to say, Lisa sees me. She said it today. And Lisa says, you matter, right? Like, really, you do. And oh, wow. It would be amazing if we could actually see each person and stand in front of them and say, see you and you matter, like your gifts matter, whatever those gifts are. And I really encourage you to breathe those out into the world. And then my only request is that you pay this forward. And so that if you see someone, you say, I see you and you matter. Because I think if we each do that when we're present with each person, we can make a profound difference out in the world. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, for listeners and for people watching this, it's Lisa, Lisa, Leitl, Leitl. Check out her website. That's just her name.com, lisaleitl.com. Yes? Okay,
Yep.
good. Okay, good. And then we'll have a bunch of links linked below. Thank you so much for joining me today. When you get your second release out, I want to have you back. We can talk, we
Absolutely.
can continue this conversation. If you have something that you're just like burning to get out to the world and you want to share it every different place that you can, please hit me up. I will also share your message as well, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you.
I do this is like the happy like, I love Lisa.
Well,
All right.
and thank you. Thank you, Stephanie, for seeing me, right? Yeah, like you said, Lisa matters. I see her. So thank you. Like you are living out. Yeah, it's so, yeah, yeah, that's true to my heart. So I see you or hear you or wherever it is that you're taking this information in. You matter.